Welcome to the Intuitive Empire Podcast, the place for coaches, healers, network marketers, and awakened souls who are all about creating success on their own terms. We are here to rise, and in doing so, we must honor our sensitive selves, activate our intuition, and lead with light. We are the ones we've been waiting for, the change makers, wayseers, and trailblazers. Join me, Jaya Rose, as we step fully into luminous leadership and create epic, intuitive empires that serve the highest good of all. Ready? Let's go. Hey, and welcome back to the Intuitive Empire Podcast. Kind of excited about this episode, not gonna lie, because I'm gonna talk to you about losing friends and triggering people. Is that what I said the name of this was? All right, let's be real. It's 3 p.m. right now, and my brain is starting to go, but that's how I know this is going to be really good, because I'm going to tap in and I'm going to share with you I'm actually going to share with you my story. Oh yes, losing friends and being disliked. I had to get the name. It's the funniest thing, because I feel like my main mission in life was always to be liked. In fact, my second husband always said, everybody always likes Jaya. Like, he would just say that after we would meet people. And it's kind of true. I know how to connect with people. And I know that I'm likable, I do in quotes, because everybody likes somebody who's easy to talk to, you know? And everybody likes somebody who doesn't just talk about themselves incessantly when they meet. So I would say I have that skill. And it really was like a core mission for me to be liked by people. So moving into my purpose and living a bigger life, sharing my mission with the world, has definitely propelled the saga of losing friends and just feeling like really disconnected from people. And then also, of course, triggering people. I know that it happens all the time when I share stuff on Facebook, or I don't know, but I'll notice that people that were friends with me on Facebook just unfriend me. That kind of happens a lot. And it has been this really interesting transition to become okay with it. And I would say that if you have a big mission, and that includes growing an audience, or you already have an audience, but you want it to get bigger, well, this is a huge piece, because accepting that people are going to be triggered by you and are going to dislike you is a huge part of allowing yourself to go to the next level. And I can see that I've been doing this for many, many years unconsciously, kind of weeding out the friends that I had in my life. So I'd go back even 12 years. When I started my personal development journey, I was in my second failing marriage, and I was ready to grow, but I had to get over blaming first. So that's really where I was in my development. I was blaming my husband at the time for not giving me as much attention as I wanted, for not being who I wanted him to be, and really feeling unhappy and discontent with my life. And when I went to therapy, of course, I needed to start taking responsibility. And when I started taking responsibility for my own happiness and my own path, truly, and ultimately started growing, it didn't only affect the marriage I was in, it affected all of my relationships. And at this point, I had been living where I was living in Humboldt County, Northern California, for 13 years. And I had developed a lot of really good friends. That was from the age of 18 to 31. And it's like, those are years like I was having kids and getting married, getting unmarried, getting married again. The years that you're really tight with your friends, And what happened when I started growing and ultimately creating requirements for myself and my life in ways that I had never done before, it definitely was the deconstruct of my marriage, and the marriage ended up fizzling out, which is not really the best way to say it, because there was a lot of process involved, but we got divorced within 6 months of me starting to go to therapy, because I went by myself and he didn't grow with me. So this is the thing, right? Whether it's a romantic relationship, a marriage, or a friendship, it's always about growing. And the question is, can you grow together? And if you're going to be the only one who's growing in a relationship, well, the other person isn't even going to like you anymore because it's so uncomfortable. And if someone's not growing, they certainly do not want to be around somebody who's all excited about their growth path. I mean, it just makes sense. And in that, I didn't know, like in this period in time when I was doing therapy and married at the time and knowing that I was about to change my whole life, I didn't know that it was going to be friendships too, because I definitely thought that I was more valuable because of my friendships. Like the identity I had being a friend, being the one who's there for someone, and really being a good friend was like this huge piece of value that I placed on myself. So it was very uncomfortable when I realized at the time, after I started my divorce process, then I was able to start to look at, well, actually, I'm not really content with a lot of these friendships that I'm in, that I've been friends with for like 10 years. And it was very uncomfortable. And I actually ended up moving. I moved to Portland. My older daughter, Becca, was 11 at the time. And it was such good timing because it would have been really, really challenging to break off multiple relationships with people who, like I said, I'd been friends with for 10 years. It worked out well because I just moved away. And at the same time, there did have to be this severing. So the reason I'm telling you this story is because I know that you are growing in your life and that these growing pains come up. And oftentimes it's not what people talk about. And I just want you to know that whether you're at the beginning of this growth journey and stuff's just starting to get a little crazy, or you've already been on it and you have gone through this where you've lost multiple relationships, either way, it's all preparing us for what we need to do on a larger scale. Because like I said, when you have a big audience and you have a big mission and you know you're here to impact a lot of people, not everybody's going to go on that ride with you, especially if it triggers them because they're playing super small in their life. So I can look back and see that these periods when I really started requiring more from myself, even in my friendships, it was a process just like it was to require more from myself in a marriage and in a romantic, intimate relationship. Over the course of the first 4 years after moving away from Humboldt and living in Portland, I was actually single. And so all I did was sort of date my friends in a way and create new friendships. But I found myself kind of back in the same situation where I felt like I was more motivated than most of my friends. I was the one who was sort of the counselor. And those friendships didn't last. I honestly don't have any of those same friends from that period in life. Then, as I was taking my coaching business online, which is almost 4 years ago now, I had kind of a different group of friends. And I only had a few because what I've noticed is that as I get older, I'm 42, that it's like friends just aren't the same anymore. I used to really need to talk to my friends on the phone and be with my friends and go hang out. And now I'm like, well, I have a 5-year-old and a 22-year-old, and I hang out with my 22-year-old when I want a friend. And I just don't really need it as much. So maybe that's part of the shift. But there were a couple really kind of intense breakups with people as I took my business online and started to really live my purpose out loud. And it felt the same as it felt 10 years ago. And it just goes to show that when you meet somebody and you're at a certain level, a certain mindset, you have certain requirements and standards for your life, you're going to attract people who have similar in that way. But if you have your eye on the prize and you're super motivated to change your reality and to grow into the person that you're meant to be, well, they need to be doing that too. And I noticed that I still didn't have that requirement because I didn't have it for myself. You know, I was playing small And like, I wanted people to grow in personal development, but I didn't realize, well, actually, no, I need to be friends with people who have a big purpose and who have a mission and who understand how dedicated and devoted I am to my business and my mission in the world. And so it's like every time I've up leveled, I've basically lost all my friends. Now, don't judge me when I say that, because maybe you're experiencing the same thing, or maybe you have some friends in your life that are actually holding you back. And when you hang out with them, you know it's not serving you, but you just feel like you need to do it. And that's why I felt like I wanted to talk about this, because as I look back to each level I've gone through, I've basically lost all the friends that I had at that point. And I can look now and say to them, God bless them. Total love in my heart for them. Honestly, every single friend that I'm not friends with, I would still be super kind and give them hugs and, you know what I mean? Love them. But at the same time, they just don't get to be in my inner circle. They don't get to be in my inner circle. And not everybody gets to be in your inner circle either. And understanding that as you up level and you get more dedicated, whether it be to personal development or to spirituality or to your purpose in the world, there's going to be a reckoning or a time of rebalancing what's important to you. And you get to decide again who's going to be in my space. And it doesn't even have to be dramatic, it doesn't have to be a big dramatic thing. But I also think that it needs to be dramatic in the way that it needs to be serious. Like, you need to be serious about who you have in your life. And like I said, there's no hard feelings with any of these people, but I also can look and see, well, every single relationship is completely outdated. And when I look at what's going on with them and their lives, I have no desire to hang out with them. None. Because what would happen is I would end up being the person who's there for them. And even if they could be there for me, I don't really have drama or like things that I just complain about in my life. If I have something going on, it's because I'm working through it and I want to talk to somebody who's been there. Do you know what I mean? I want to either have a life coach, or I have a friend online who we trade coaching, where we meet and then she does a half hour where I coach her and then I do a half hour and she coaches me, like that. This is what I'm realizing, that at the level I'm at, where I have a lot of clients and, a certain amount of visibility and a certain size audience, that I really need people to help me just work through whatever I'm working through and lift me up, versus what it used to be, which was just complaining and just bitching about what was going on in my life and just wanting them to commiserate with me. And on the flip side, I'm just not really a great friend for people who want to just complain about their life, because I will legit show up as a life coach and start trying to help you solve it. And if you come to me with the same problem again, then I would say, well, you need to pay me. You know what I mean? And I don't even deal with that with my clients. My clients, they want transformation, and they're not trying to tell the same story over and over again and stay in the same place. They're freaking paying me to work through stuff. And so, as you up level, you need to be willing to look at these things, even though they're hard. And the other side of it is that you might lose all your friends. You might be like me, where you're like, okay, I'm 42. Friendships have always been a really big deal, and I love being a good friend. And yet I don't have any friends where I live in Portland. And I don't see people. I mean, I go to some stuff sometimes, but you know what I mean? I don't have those like good friends that I've had for years and we do dinner parties. And it's okay. Like, I'm actually surprised, but it's okay, because what I'm doing with my life is so much more important than holding myself back for the relationships that I had. And I do know that I would like to have those relationships, but I also know that it's very few and far between that I meet people who can really meet me eye to eye. And it's just true. So I ask you to take a look at your life and say, where is it that I'm allowing people in my space that it's not serving me? And as much as this is not what we're taught It's not normal behavior, not average behavior to just outgrow friendships. And it sounds like I'm being cold hearted, kind of, as I say it out loud, but it's not, because it's not dramatic. And I genuinely love all the people. Even if it ended in a fight or something, I still would love them and forgive them and forgive myself. So it's not that you're cold hearted if you let go of relationships that aren't serving you. It's that you're more committed to your mission than you are to that person. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with being more committed to your mission than you are to people. People are amazing, but people are not meant to be in your life always. You're not meant to marry every person. You're not meant to be lifelong friends with every single person. If you were, you would have way too many people in your life and you wouldn't even have any time and energy to focus on your mission. So, giving yourself permission to be honest about this is really super healthy. And it's what's best for you and then the people who you're meant to impact. Because I talk to soul driven women who want to show up even bigger than they are, right? Isn't that what you want? You can look at your life and say, actually, I'm meant to help people and I am meant to show up even bigger. And this is a great place to start. Where are you not showing up for yourself? And who are you giving your power away to, or your time and your attention and your energy? Because those are huge things. And just to speak to the other side of this is that there are lots of people who, like I mentioned, probably don't like me and don't like that I am bold or that I'm put myself out there. And I'm sure that I trigger people. And I've just learned for that to be okay. And as much as I want everybody to like me, and I know that I am at the core likable. I'm not like a bitchy person or something, but it doesn't really matter because people are going to see me through the lens in which they see me and themselves and their entire world. And I have no control over that. And so every person that unfriends me or blocks me, it's just simply not my problem. And I don't take it on as my problem. Sometimes I hear those little voices and I'm like, oh, I wonder why she doesn't like me. And I'll give you a couple examples. There's one gal who had me on her summit. She interviewed me. She followed my content, obviously, kind of looked up to me. And I saw her somewhere and then I clicked on her because I hadn't seen her in a while and she had unfriended me. And there was this little voice that was like, I wonder why she doesn't like me anymore. And then I was like, boom, let it go. Let it go. Who cares? Who cares? She's not your client. She's not your close friend. And you did nothing to hurt her. It's not like you did anything purposely to hurt her that you need to take responsibility for. So let it go. And this is more and more the ongoing story that I have around what people think of me. There also was a gal when I was in enrollment, the last round of EMBODY, and she was reaching out to me curious about EMBODY or curious about, I remember what it was. I had put a question up on Facebook asking, what would you like to know about investing in yourself? Because I did a podcast about investing in yourself and it was fire. So if you haven't heard it, you should go back and listen to that. It was right around the new year. And I think it's called Investing in Yourself Like a Boss. This episode was so triggering. And I'll tell you, it's the craziest thing because this gal reached out. She told me her money story. She kind of did a lengthy message to me and asked me a question about investing in yourself. Well, I went ahead and did that episode and I did not hold back what I believe about investing in yourself. Now, not everyone's going to resonate with that message. Not everyone believes that you need to invest thousands and thousands of dollars into your dream and that it's going to help you up level and that that's important and that, credit card debt is just a way to become spiritually more connected to money. I have some beliefs that may not resonate with people, especially if they're stuck in a more scarcity mindset. And I didn't hold those back. I just was spoke my truth. So later that day, I ended up messaging the podcast to her. And I said, hey, I recorded the podcast and I answered your question. Well, simultaneously, I had had a call with a gal who was thinking about joining Embody, and she was sort of playing with her finances, figuring out her ability to invest. She also listened to the podcast. Okay. Two people the same day I was in communication with. Well, the one gal who asked me the question wrote me back. No, that's not true. She didn't write me back. I sent her the podcast and boom, she blocked me. She blocked me on Facebook, which means, you can't see anything of theirs. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess she didn't like my podcast. And the other gal, about an hour later, messaged me and said, that podcast was everything. I'm in. I'll do the payment plan. And she enrolled in Embody. Okay. So let this be a lesson to both you and me that the right people will show up and they will receive your message and the value that you bring to the world when they're ready. That gal that signed up had to be ready. She couldn't be forced into being ready. And the gal who blocked me was clearly not ready. And it's the clarity, And so this is how I look at these things. Could I take it personal and feel bad that she blocked me and stuff? I mean, sure. But is it really a representation of my ability to be liked as a person or how lovable I am? Hell no. Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with her story and how it triggered her story and what she wants to continue believing. Everything to do with that. And the flip side is the same thing with the gal who is ready for it. I think it speaks to the potency of my message, and I do believe that. So when people really resonate with your message, I believe it's because it's more potent and because you're doing the work to stand in your power. And so I could I could say like, yay, me, that I did that. And at the same time, where she is and where she was, I have no control over. And it's fully about her, how she was able to receive it. So I don't even take that personal. And it's really, really helpful because every friend you have who feels draining, every interaction you have that feels uncomfortable or like you're out of your integrity or you can't be your authentic true self, or every situation that happens where you're taking it personal and feeling bad about it will and does knock you off the path of your purpose. Every single time. Every time. That is the only thing it does. It does not solve any problems. It does not make you a better person. It doesn't make the other person feel any better. It does nothing except distract you from your purpose and distract you from being the most powerful, potent version of yourself. And I can only say that because I've experienced it and I practice it. It's a practice and it's a mindset ultimately. And an embodiment of devotion to what is really important to you. Is this really important to me? Is it really important to me that that gal blocked me or that she didn't appreciate my message? No, it's not important to me at all. And that's not cold-hearted. It's actually big-hearted because my heart is open to the people who I can impact. And I'm not being a weirdo with my energy and just sort of like distracted from my purpose because I'm worried about things I can't control. And hallelujah, right? I mean, isn't this the goal? Isn't this why we do personal development? Why we're on a spiritual journey is to suffer less in our lives. It's about suffering and joy. What brings you joy? Who are the friends that bring you joy? Who are the interactions? What type of interactions do you want to have? Does it bring you joy to worry about this or that thing? No, it just creates suffering. So I think it's always the question of what do we choose? And then it creates this foundation for you to allow more into your life. Because when you're not getting triggered left and right or drained by relationships that you're choosing, then you have more space for what you truly desire to come into your life. And recognizing that you have a certain capacity to hold what you desire. And yes, you can strengthen and stretch and grow that capacity. And also there just is a certain capacity of energy and time that you have. So Are you opening up to that, or are you holding on to things? And I think that it's an ongoing question and a practice of allowing yourself to release what isn't serving you. And that means how you feel about it, most importantly. And then show up, keep showing up. And I mean, this is the recipe for success, I believe, especially in this day and age in the online space where energy is the most important thing. It is so important how you feel, and everybody else can feel it. And y'all, I know my listeners are intuitive and highly sensitive and soulful. So you can feel it. You can feel everybody's energy. So everybody can feel yours too. So this is my little pep talk. And I want you to just know that you are super valuable and that you deserve to have relationships that light you up. And you deserve to not have relationships at all with people if you're not ready for that, or if you're in transition and you need to outgrow certain relationships. And there's nothing wrong with you being decisive about who you want in your inner circle. There's nothing wrong with that. So I hope that this touched you in the exact right moment. And if it did, I would ask you to please share it out on Facebook or take a picture of it and tag me on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm the Jaya Rose. You can just look up Jaya Rose and follow me on Instagram. I'll definitely put you in my stories if you do a shout out for my podcast. I'm just so happy and excited when I see people sharing the podcast. See, I like to be liked. And then I also want to let you know that I am in enrollment for EMBODY right now. We are starting on May 1st. And if you're curious about what's going to be happening in EMBODY, you can reach out to me. You can click the link below in the show notes or reach out to me on social media. And also, I'm doing a 4-day activation challenge, and I'm so excited. It's called the 4-day Magnetic Embodiment Activation Challenge, and it's going to be fire. So I will put the link. I'm going to do my best to put the link in the show notes right now and get it done because I haven't created it yet, so that you can get that. But if it's not in the show notes, it's just because I'm working on it literally tomorrow, which is when the show is going to go out. And you can find it in my link tree on Instagram. You can find it in my link tree on Facebook, like later this week. Just follow me on social media, but make sure to join the activation challenge because it's going to be so amazing. And trust me, I've put on a lot of challenges and I've done a lot of them. And this is going to be the best one ever. I'm even like getting videos professionally recorded because there's going to be some movement, which I call, oh, I had a really cute name. Okay, can't tell you. It's all a surprise. Anyway, it's going to be fire. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. I love and adore you and appreciate you for listening. And I appreciate if you take a moment to share this out. If you have any aha moments, please let me know what they are. And I'll see you next time on the Intuitive Empire podcast. Yay. Thanks so much for listening and being here. And if you loved this episode, please take a moment to rate it on iTunes. I feel so honored when I read your reviews, and I would love to feature you on the podcast as a spotlight review. Also, find me on Instagram at Jaya Rose, and I would be so excited to share your story into my story. I just love seeing the feedback and that you're listening. So share it out on social media, share it with somebody who you think it could benefit, because us showing up for other people is what this is all about. It's a ripple effect of change, and we do that by sharing. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time on Bliss Boss Talks.